Hello and welcome. Welcome to OpenText World 2022 for EMEA, and welcome to this Ravenblack TurboTalk. I'm Greg Petty, the President and CTO of Ravenblack, and today I'm going to spend 15 minutes talking to you about automating business tasks on Content Server using content intelligence, or as it's more commonly known, web reports. While we're going to spend some of our time talking about the utility of this technology, we're also going to speak to some of the limitations of this technology that we've addressed with one of our web reports extension products. In previous talks, I've looked at our product development strategy and our portfolio. I'll just touch on that briefly now. In the previous talks, we've looked at our IDE, or our development environment for web reports, and how that can help you and increase your efficiency. We've touched briefly on an extended subtag suite. And today we're going to talk about something called a multi-agent scheduler, which helps you improve your web report scheduling. I'm not going to spend any time talking about our company, about my history with web reports. All of that you can find on our website, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Please feel free to go to our website and have a look at some of the services and products that we provide. I'm going to kick off with this statement. Most Content Suite customers own the ability to create automated tasks by running scheduled web reports on their Content Suite system. That will cover almost everyone watching this talk. Web reports and the web report suite of products comes with most installations of Content Suite. And the technology I'm going to talk about today is ready and waiting for you if you're not already using it. In order to help with this discussion on automation and to explain a couple of pieces of terminology, I'm going to provide a simple analogy. Imagine we have the employee of a company, maybe his name is John. He has certain tasks to perform, and being a smart guy who knows a bit about web reports, he's developed a web report to do the tasks that he's required to perform. Unfortunately for John, these tasks have to be performed out of hours, and as he doesn't want to have to come in on a night shift, he does the sensible thing and hires an intern. And he gives clear instructions to the intern that it has to be run at 4 a.m. every single night, provides the necessary credentials for the intern to run the web report for him. And in this relationship, we would describe the intern as an agent, and we'll use the term agent elsewhere in this discussion. John goes home, and the intern happily, or maybe not, runs the web report every night at about the same time. Obviously, in web reports automation, no actual interns are mistreated, and we use the server, with processes running on the server, to act as agents to run the web report. But the concept is still basically the same, and we will use the term agent throughout this talk. Now that we've looked at the concept of automating web reports, let's look at some of the things you can do. Anyone who's used web reports will have some idea of how much web reports are capable of doing when you run them manually, so all of that's possible when you're running them automatically. And we can divide most tasks that are being performed by customers into two groups, being administration and business process. And the main difference is that administration are typically housekeeping type of things to run on the system for the health of the system and the upkeep of the system. Whereas business process tasks are all of the things you might include in an application, such as sending emails to customers, moving things, setting attributes, all kinds of things, including the idea of collating data that might be performance heavy and producing a file that can then be looked at quickly by users. The good news is that any customer with web reports can automate any web report. Every web report has a destination tab that allows you to configure the web report to run automatically anytime, any date, on behalf of any user. And this allows you to defer and repeat any operation on a predictable schedule. So clearly you have some powerful automation possibilities. So the next question is, how do you manage these automated tasks? And how do you know they're running efficiently and on time? Now, to explain this a bit further, I'm going to return to my analogy and take it a little bit further. So imagine that with John's success, word spreads and other staff at the company decide they have tasks they want to perform that need to be performed either regularly or on weird hours. And they also ask the intern to perform some of their tasks as an agent on a regular basis. So you have a variety of different schedules now, and the intern, never complaining, is doing his best to run all of these tasks as required. But essentially, as one person, he's simply running each task in a serial fashion. So he wakes up every now and then, checks his list, goes through all of the tasks he's been asked to do, see which ones need to run, runs through all of them in a serial way, and then has another nap, wakes up, and does it all again. The problem is that the intern is starting to run a bit thin and is not actually able to run these tasks at the times he was asked to or in a timely fashion. Sadly, no one is any wiser because the intern never complains until customers start complaining and they realize that their tasks are not running in an orderly fashion. So from a real-world point of view, the problems you have is that all scheduled tasks are run in a serial queue. This means the timing and execution of any task is dependent on how many other tasks are running, how often they're configured to run, and how long do they take to run. This makes it difficult to manage the actual timing of tasks. Sometimes sensitive tasks can be delayed for long periods of time. This also makes it difficult to understand what is actually running and when. So going back to our original example, how do we solve this problem? We have multiple parallel tasks, or tasks that we want to be parallel, but only one resource. So the first and most obvious answer is to add more resources. And once you've done that, assuming you have some way of organizing who's doing what, you can arrange to have each resource managing specific pieces of work, or web reports in this case, allowing them to run in parallel. I'm going to take a brief look at this slide because it's obviously quite busy, but it does give you some kind of a visual of what happens as you start to add more tasks into the mix. You see multiple tasks here being run one after the other, and the red line indicates where a particular web report wanted to be running and where it actually ended up running. The gap here is where the agent goes to sleep for a minute and starts again. And for most systems, in fact, it's usually a 5-minute agent, so it looks probably more like this. This is just to give you a brief idea of what's probably going on your system. So what can we do to improve that situation? Based on our humanized example, there are a couple of opportunities. One is to provide the ability to add additional agent resources to share the automation load. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, to provide a mechanism that allows managers to easily assign or reassign the work, web reports, to the resources, agents. And that's the part that is somewhat more difficult with software than it is with humans. Now let's see how this translates into the content server environment. Content server has a section in the admin pages for managing schedules, and on your system today, if you go into that link, you'll get a page that looks pretty much exactly like this, except for the web reports. There's a section at the top that shows the sole agent and its sleep interval in seconds. And the lower part is all about the web reports that are currently available for scheduling. And apart from some basic information about them, you have the ability to enable or disable or delete the schedule. Now, if we install the Ravenblack multi-agent scheduling system, which is basically a CS app, it will override the page we just saw, and you end up with one that looks like this. Very similar, but the first obvious difference is we have the ability to select from multiple agents, and these are 4 we created earlier. You can add agents, you can edit them, you can change the sleep interval, everything you would expect, and that in itself is a good extension to the existing product. However, more importantly, and perhaps the secret sauce, is the ability to select agents and then to choose which web reports will run on those agents. Now I'm going to do a quick demo, and in order to do the demo, I'm going to do a quick simulation first so you have an idea what the demo is doing. If you imagine we have a single agent that runs every minute, it wakes up to do work, and we have 2 web reports that it needs to service. One of them takes about a minute to run and wants to be run every minute. The bigger task runs for about 5 minutes and it wants to be run every 5 minutes. So basically, as soon as it's done, it's going to wake up and run again. The first task runs, and then immediately that's finished, it runs the big task, and then the agent goes to sleep. It wakes up again, performs the quick task, and then runs the bigger task, goes to sleep, and so on. And what you'll see here is the so-called quick task is now actually running with about a 6-minute gap before it runs again. Now here's a test system where we've set up a couple of web reports to run for very specific amounts of time. Currently they're on different agents, but we're going to put them both on the same agent so that they will behave more like a standard scheduling system. I'm going to enable them both now, and we'll see what happens in the next 20 minutes. And here we are 20 minutes later. These web reports have been designed to output documents, and we've set this up in a way that we can see how long they ran for, when they ran, and so on. Perhaps more usefully, we have a tool that runs with the multi-agent scheduler when you enable it, and it's used to work out if you have delays or web reports that are not running when they're supposed to. And in this case, as we're running these both on the same agent, we see 6 or 7 minute delays in many cases for an agent that is really hoping to be running every 1 or 2 minutes. Now for our next test, I'm simply going to assign one of these 2 web reports onto a different agent. And I do this by double-clicking on the web report after selecting that agent. Both of the web reports are enabled, so now we'll basically just wait another 20 minutes. And now, 20 minutes later, let's see what the results are. We see that we have documents in the output folder as expected, and the times look about right. And then we look at the analysis tool, and as we would expect, we've got 1 to 2 minute delays, which is very common when the web report itself runs about a minute and the agent has about a minute of sleep time. We actually had to dial down the threshold for this from 90 seconds we were using in the previous one in order to get more results. That brings us to the conclusion of our TurboTalk. As usual, if you have any questions, feedback, or you want more information, or you want to request a free performance analysis, which we'd be happy to do to help you understand how your web report schedules are running, just contact us at any of these coordinates. Also, we encourage you to look at our YouTube channel where we have a number of videos both on this product and other products, including training products for the application analyzer. And with that, I thank you very much for attending, and I look forward to talking to some of you very soon. Thank you.